was just going to say, Di, you know how you comment on how quickly the year is going by? You know that the year is going past quickly and that you're coming up to the middle of the year when the 40-hour challenge with World Vision is coming up, right? So we thought we'd have an opportunity to talk about that, and we will, but we also want to talk to Richard Matthews from World Vision about his recent trip. Well, I say recent, December. This is how fast the year has gone, right? To Timor-Leste. Anyway, welcome to the show, Richard. It is great to have you with us this afternoon.
Hey, thanks. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So let's look. There's so much to talk about and not enough time. So let's start about with the 40-hour challenge. It used to be the famine back in the day. It's the challenge now. What is the theme this year?
Yeah, so this year we're fighting the impacts of the climate crisis. So we're raising funds to re-green communities around the world, specifically in the Asia Pacific region. Our focus this year is on Timor-Leste, where I traveled to in December. We've got this incredible goal that we want to re-green 1 billion hectares worth of forest in the next 10 years, which is, absolutely like an insane idea. But why not? Let's dream big. And so if New Zealand can get behind us, then I think we can do it. Appreciate any support that your listeners can give.
All right. Well, you talk about the focus here on Timor-Leste. Now, tell us about this trip in December, being on the ground. Tell us about what you saw and why this has really become a focus of the 40-hour challenge this year.
Yeah. We went in December and just met some of the local communities there. Timor-Leste is sort of, in terms of the climate crisis, is a really low carbon emitter. Like, they contribute next to nothing to climate change, but are one of the countries that are on the front lines feeling it first. And we witnessed that firsthand while we were there. They just come out of like a long period of drought. And so this is one of the ways that climate change is affecting places like Timor-Leste, is they've always had a dry and a wet season, but the oscillation between those two extremes is becoming more unpredictable. So we just at the end of the dry season, and then the rainy season hit while we were there. So we had the first rains of the season coming down on dry, compact, hard land, and obviously had nowhere to go but just pull up and run down off the mountains. And so we were caught in a bit of a flash flood while we were there. Had to sort of muck in with the locals and help repair fences and things like that. And so this can affect, people's livelihoods. When you're a subsistence farmer in a place like Timor-Leste, you live off the land, and if your crop gets flooded, that's you for the year. So it can be really places where we're already dealing with extreme poverty and malnutrition, driving families even further into poverty.
So let's talk about the work of World Vision in Timor-Leste. What are you guys doing there?
Well, I already sort of touched on a little bit, but one of the things that we're most proud of is an initiative called Farmer Managed Natural Regeneration. We shorten it to FMNR because it's a bit of a mouthful. But basically, this is a technique that involves tapping into the underground forest. So Timor-Leste, as an example, they've lost 90% of their original forests. And so in places around the world where this has happened, the land becomes degraded. There's no forest cover. But there often is still an extensive root network under the ground, and that can go right down to the water table, some 20 or 30 meters below the surface. And so through this technique, we can restore those forests and bring them back to life using expertise of local farmers. And we see incredible results in as little as a few years. And it's way cheaper than planting new trees. It's 36 times cheaper or something ridiculous. For people in places like Timor-Leste, like I said, who've lost 90% of their original forests, that would just mean the world.
Amazing.
Yeah, it occurs to me that even in the last 12 months here in New Zealand, 12 to 18 months, we've seen some significant weather events ourselves and just seen the impact that kind of weather can have, and yet thinking that the destruction when there's absolutely nowhere for it to go and it just runs, and the impact on those farmers I guess we only can sort of grasp a little bit about what that means, that they'd lose the year's livelihood. So it's an interesting, way of looking to restore some of this forest. And so that's what people are part of when they support the 40-hour challenge this year. They raise funds. This is where the investment is going to go. Tell us about the challenge this year and the way people are getting involved to be part of this work.
Yeah, so obviously, if you don't know about the World Vision 40-hour challenge, essentially you sign up, you choose a challenge that you'll complete in 40 hours for the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd of June, and ask people to sponsor you to complete that challenge. So lots of people are choosing challenges that are climate-friendly challenges, since that's the theme this year. So it might be planting 40 trees in 40 hours. It might be gathering your school or your youth group or your whānau, going down to the beach and doing a 4-kilometre beach cleanup. Could be upcycling 40 items of clothing from your local thrift store. Whatever it is, choose something that's challenging to you, meaningful to you. Get creative, and let's raise some money to help regreen our future.
Yeah, and we're talking Timor-Leste, but this is sort of part of a grander vision, isn't it, for World Vision across many different parts of the world, re-greening it.
Yeah, so like I said, our goal is to restore 1 billion hectares of forest around the world in the next 10 years, and that's an area the size of China. And if we could do that, it would suck about 1/4 of the world's carbon from the atmosphere. So that in itself would be huge. But outside of that, trees have many other benefits, protecting biodiversity, protecting water sources during droughts, which we know are a problem for places like Timor-Leste, animal life, plants that we can grow fruit and vegetables from, so that local families can earn an income and feed their families. That's all super important. And what we found as World Vision is obviously our traditional focus areas are things like food access, water access, health, education. These are all things that are exacerbated by the climate crisis. So we feel like we can't address those problems without also addressing climate.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the 40-hour challenge is coming up end of June, second half of June, I believe. So there's plenty of time to get yourself on board and involved. The focus, Timor-Leste, and Richard Matthews with us from World Vision. Appreciate you sharing some of the stories of your time there, and also the work that you guys are doing and what this is all about and what you're endeavouring to do to try to deal with some of these issues. So if you'd like to find out more, do head along to the website 40hour.org.nz, 40hour.org.nz. Richard Matthews from World Vision with us. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thanks for joining us on Rhema. Now, if you found value in today's content, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel with the subscribe button. This really helps us to continue to produce more quality content for you. And hey, if you'd like to stay updated and never miss any of our future videos, ring that notification bell as well. Don't forget to follow us on our other socials, which are in the description below. And until then, stay tuned.